Hey guys, it's Becca the Book Reviewer. Today I'm at like the Sailor Moon Festival and I bought so many Tsum Tsums.
Why would I buy Tsum Tsums at a Sailor Moon festival?
Because they're two of your favourite things ever and that would be amazing.
They're actually at Sailor Moon Tsum Tsums and they're $50 each and I'm gonna buy them. And it's a Sailor Moon.
$50! Anyway, hello, I'm starting Becca's vlog for her. I'm Shami from Red Like Wildfire. We are here at Melbourne Writers Festival. This is Becca. She's eating her food because she didn't have a chance to eat because she's been so busy. Yeah, so Becca and I are both digital storytellers. Show up your paw. Yeah. And we're gonna be recapping
Everything.
every
single detail. Yeah. Every single.
Wait. Everything. Anyway, so I started your vlog, Becca. You better love me.
So we just finished the Angie Thomas event and it was absolutely fantastic. She's such a fantastic writer. This is Lily. I'm not sure if you've heard of my channel before. You're in like a vlog, collab that me and Tammy did together. At the very end. Hi. I don't even remember. Wow. Anyway, hi. Hi. So you guys, what did you guys think of the Angie Thomas?
It was honestly so good. It was so good.
Look, I'll do it up. Everyone can see.
It was,
so, Lily, your thoughts of it?
It was so good. It was so good.
I think it was good was the consensus and these two are fighting. So whoever you like best,
there's a whole
subscribe them.
Subscribe to Tammy from Red Like Wildfire and Lily from Lily Lexicon.
Lily Lexicon? Oh, I don't want it back. Kicking it back. So Lily is being our cupcake model. Hold it like that, Lily. Perfect. Here's a better one. Beautiful. There we go. So we're at the Bloomsbury Blogger Night. So people often ask why I love the YA Book Melbourne community, and it's because of all these wonderful people who make life fantastic, and they're just all awesome. So it's the end of Melbourne's Writers Festival, day one. We had a very full-on day. The first panels we went to was reality and fantasy,
Which was amazing.
we really liked it. We ended up buying all of Gareth Nix's books.
By accident, of course.
So that was a really good panel. It was really enjoyable, really interesting. After that, Alex went to lunch and I went to Future Sex with Emily Witt. So that was a really good event too. I liked it. But then after that, we had Samantha for Shannon, the Bone Season, who...
Another amazing event.
It was really good. And then we had the best event, save for last, which was Angie Thomas's keynote.
Oh my god.
So Angie Thomas, in case you do not know, for some reason is the author of The Hate U Give, New York Times bestseller.
25 weeks.
Controversy.
26, yeah.
But it was just a fantastic event, honestly. I nearly cried, Alex nearly cried, everyone nearly cried. Some people probably
did cry, yeah. There was a lot of applauding. There was
she
probably
was just
standing ovations for sure.
She was a motivational speaker, and such a powerful speaker that
she knew what she wanted to say.
Yeah,
and she said it.
Yeah, highly recommend The Hate U Give. If you haven't read it, go pick it up. Read it.
Recommend it to all your friends.
Yeah.
It's a must read. If you one book you want to read this year,
the one.
This is the one you need to read.
It was fantastic.
Powerful, motivational, and just completely important and relevant.
Yeah. And then after that we had the Bloomsbury Blogger Night, which was also fun.
Thanks for hosting Bloomsbury.
And then we went out to dinner and then we're going to drive back. So all in all, Melbourne's Writers Festival day one was definitely the best. I think our favourite was obviously Angie Thomas.
Yeah, but Blogger Night's very close as well.
Yeah, everything was really good. It was nice to hang out with my friends. As I said, I'm going to share all the footage of the panels after this clip. Go check them out. Sorry this vlog was a bit of a mess, but Melbourne's Writers Festival was fantastic. There's still more days to go. I'll leave the program down below, so if you have a chance to go to any of the events, we highly recommend it.
Yeah. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to Becca and give this video a like if you want to see more vlogs like this, because Becca's really good at it and we go to a lot of bookish events all the time.
Thank you. And Alex, in case you do not know, co-hosts the YA Room,
which is a YA-based book club in Melbourne.
And she also has a book tube channel too,
which I'm going to get back into soon, so subscribe now.
I'll leave all the links down below. We'll see you next time. Bye!
Bye!
So you might be like, what is this?
The vlog ended officially like 2 seconds ago. I thought we were seeing panel footage from Melbourne's Writers' Festival. Well, I quickly wanted to say a couple of things. First off, I'd like to apologise for the first kind of 4 minutes that you just saw there. Unfortunately, it was very hard to vlog at Melbourne's Writers' Festival. The camera I bought was really heavy, so my arm was hurting a lot. Back issues all week, so holding that up was quite an issue. And it's kind of shaky, and holding this big ass camera up was also very awkward too, and very hard on me. I'm not very strong, so I think next week I will vlog with my iPhone camera. It's still pretty good quality and it'll be a lot easier to vlog with. I found it disrespectful to, before a session started, pull out my camera and be like, so this is the session we're going to be at now. So instead I just kind of vlogged the session like when it was happening, like the authors talking about things. I didn't really explain anything, so I thought that's what I would quickly do before each session. So the first panel you're about to see footage of is the reality and fantasy panel that was with Samantha Shannon, Gareth Nix and 2 other authors that I can't remember the names of right now. The first kind of footage you're going to see is Gareth Nix talking about getting Samantha Shannon in trouble. I'll leave it up to you of watching it to see what I mean. They also had a really interesting talk about death and the discussion of death. So again, I included that there. Something that I didn't get footage of that was really interesting is just them talking about diversity in their books and why they think it's important. It was just a really good discussion. I loved everything about it.
Like you said with fantasy, like some people just think all genre is just bollocks, and it's, you know, it's just an opinion thing.
You can tweet that, Samantha Shannon. All fantasy is just bollocks. I think that's what happened to Philip Feldman. He was quite. I shouldn't have said. Someone will probably do that.
You go for that.
It causes all kinds of problems. Depending what I'm writing, but in most of my books, if people do die, I want it to matter. I don't want it to be. I don't want them to just be red shirts where they're just. No, they might as well be holograms that are just being turned off in the background. I do want it to matter, but it depends on, you know, it depends on what I'm writing, but certainly in general I want it to matter.
There's a few deaths in my book, and one of them, and it's not a spoiler, like I can get into it a little bit, in that one of the lead character at one point, I've just reached a point in the book when I was writing it, and it's just annoying me. Like, I couldn't make him change in the way I wanted him to change and evolve as a human. And I was telling a friend of mine who's an editor, and I was like, he's just, like, he's now becoming the person I don't want to write, because he's just getting on my nerves. He's butting heads with me. And she's like, kill him. She did it as a joke, but I was like, yeah, I will. And so halfway through the book, I do kill him, and then and no spoiler, because it's not a big deal him coming back, because it happens the next page. But that did, for example, that was a case of me just dealing with the death as a practical tool of storytelling. However, there's another character in the book who dies who I didn't intend on killing at all until the moment when I wrote their death scene, because suddenly the story went in a direction where that was the only way it could go. And I was genuinely gutted. I was quite upset about the fact that I had to kill someone who I really liked and I was looking forward to writing more of, and I had lost that opportunity now.
After that panel, which was absolutely fantastic, I did have Emily Witt's Future Sex. I actually didn't get any footage of this event, sadly. I sat in there with my friend and we just kind of listened. And it was just a really interesting event, something that I normally wouldn't go to. It was maybe something a little bit normally outside of my comfort zone, but I thought it would be interesting to go to and have a look. And so I did, and I quite enjoyed it. And I'm glad that I went and pushed myself to go to that one. Then we went to the Bone Season panel with Samantha Shannon, which was absolutely fantastic. First off, you have Samantha Shannon talking about fan fiction. That's the footage that you'll just see after this. She actually used to write it herself. That was one of the first things she wrote, and she actually didn't write book fan fiction. She wrote movie fan fiction, so I thought that was really interesting. She also talks about her first book, Aurora, as you can see, and talks about being compared to J.K. Rowling. Samantha Shannon was such inspiration to listen to. She was funny and smart, and I've only read The Bone Season, the first book in the series, but listening to her speak about the series, there were no spoilers, just made me want to read the rest of the series now. I'm currently finishing a book, but after I finish that book, I'm gonna finish the next 2 books in the series, because honestly, yeah, just listening to her talk about them made me super excited.
I'm pretty sure it was George R.R. Martin or someone that said it's like playing in somebody else's sandbox and building castles. I think he said it possibly in a derogatory sense, because I don't think he likes fan fiction that much, but it was still a good expression, I think, playing in somebody else's sandbox. And, you know, they've kind of given you the sand, you're just kind of making new shapes out of it.
Sure. Well, you talked there about being obsessed with films. What books particularly spoke to you? You mentioned fantasy, and when we were talking earlier, you mentioned Gareth Nix.
Yeah, I'm a massive Gareth Nix fangirl, so just doing an event with him was like a childhood dream come true. Yeah, so I was, Sabriel was one of the first kind of fantasy books led by a female character that I read. And that was huge for me because I hadn't really read a book where a girl got to use a sword and stuff before that. And I wasn't kind of from the generation that read things like Alana, for example.
And then you began novel writing at 15. Can you tell us a bit about your first novel? It's called Aurora.
Yeah. Aurora was terrible. It was like Twilight with aliens, but lacking. I'm actually not
that
an anti.
Quite
I'm not an anti-Twilight girl.
Yeah.
I think Stephanie Meyer's actually quite a gifted writer in terms of her descriptions and stuff. But it was like Twilight with aliens, but with all the good things about Twilight stripped out. It was just this it was basically about a 15-year-old English girl who's studying English and gets swept off her feet by a handsome alien named Warden.
Where did you come up with the idea of this 15-year-old English girl who was studying English?
I don't know, it's so hard to tell. I had previously written mostly in third person when I was a kid. And then when I got the idea for the Bone season, I had this line just jump into my head, and it was, I like to imagine there were more of us in the beginning. And I was like, oh, that's the I voice. I don't really use that. And I immediately knew who this character was just based on that one line. And I wanted to write in first person so that I could really explore that voice and kind of introduce slang into it and that kind of thing. And I just became completely fascinated by her. And I really wanted to create a character who was going to go through this really long journey and who was going to experience a lot of trauma and things happening to her. And I really wanted to knit everything she experiences into her character. So an example of this is, it's not really a spoiler, but in Song Rising and throughout the whole series actually, Paige has multiple bad experiences with water. And I wanted to actually bring that into her character. So from the fourth book onwards, she's going to have aquaphobia and actually, really have a fear of water because of that. And I really just wanted to create a character who is very complex and who you can feel all of the traumatic experiences that have happened to her kind of forming her character, kind of forming how she responds to things in the future. And I just really wanted that for her. And it's actually why I like writing dystopian fiction, because it allows you to really put your character in a pressure cooker and see them at the real extremes of survival and their sanity. Everything is under so much pressure in dystopia, and that's what I love seeing kind of what happens to Paige when I put her in different scenarios.
You're female, you're from England, and you've written a fantasy world. That's where I see the similarities, and I was wondering how you felt about constantly being compared to all these other female writers.
The J.K. Rowling one is a particularly long story for me, because part of the reason that I think my first book became a bestseller was there was this entire year in which I was called the next J.K. Rowling. And I think the only reason for that was because I'm with Bloomsbury, 7-book series, female and British, which is admittedly 4 similarities. That's actually quite a lot in media terms. But yeah, so I kind of had spent this weird year where, and obviously J.K. Rowling is a huge inspiration of mine, this weird year where I was kind of in her shadow the whole time, and people were just saying, how does it feel to be the next J.K. Rowling? And no one had even read my book at the time, and it was really, really jarring because I didn't really know what to say. It's weird because I can't complain about it too much, because I do think that that's why I became a New York Times bestseller immediately, because of that kind of catchphrase. And you see it, you see it crop up repeatedly. I mean, every time a new author comes on the scene, they're called the next J.K. Rowling, but I don't quite know why it caught on with me in the way it did. So yeah, I just spent a year being called that, and that was how people knew me. But I wanted to be the first Samantha Shannon, not the next J.K. Rowling.
The last panel of Melbourne's Writers' Festival that I attended was Angie Thomas. So you're about to see some footage of her, and by oh gosh, I wish I could have filmed the whole keynote for Angie Thomas. It was fantastic, guys. I am hugely sorry if you missed out on this one, because I can't put into words how incredible and insightful she was of a speaker. I can't even put into words the bits that I got. She was just, it was fantastic. I live tweeted Melbourne's Writers' Festival the whole day, and I managed to get some really good quotes, so have a look at my Twitter. But honestly, just Angie Thomas blew me away, and I met her and I got my book signed, and I still can't get over the fact of how great that keynote was. Melbourne's Writers' Festival blew me away today, but especially with that panel.
Angie Thomas.
Is my mic on? Great. All right. First of all, I'm going to admit my American ignorance. I was told beforehand that it gets cold here, But being an American, being ignorant, I did not know how cold. So this morning I thought I was looking cute in my professional little tunic with my little leggings, and then I stepped outside and I realized, oh crap, I cannot dress right. So I'm glad I brought my Harry Potter hoodie because now I'm warm. I feel like it's appropriate to have a Harry Potter hoodie on if you're talking about young adult books and activism. So please excuse this and not tell my mother that I came up here in the keynote in a hoodie and sneakers, because I will never hear the end of it. Their voices and their opinions matter. In fact, their voices and their opinions are some of the most valuable in the world. Do you know how many industries survive and thrive based on what teenagers do and don't like? Mine included, of course. But do you know how much marketers pay to tap into their minds? They drive trends. They affect language with the slang they create. They feed ideas into the fashion industry just by being themselves. So why not write for them? Not only that, why not write for them in a way that changes the world? See, those same teens that you downplay will one day lead our society. One day they're gonna vote. And as an American author, I keep that in mind a lot. I came to write it though before we were saying the phrase Black Lives Matter. I first wrote it as a short story while I was in what you all call university. There was a young man by the name of Oscar Grant who lost his life in Oakland, California at the hands of police. And like my main character Star, I lived in two very different worlds. The mostly black, poor neighborhood where I lived, the mostly white, upper-class private school that I attended. And I would often have to be two different people. So I would leave the house blasting Tupac in my car, but by the time I got to my school, I was playing the Jonas Brothers. Don't judge me for that, I still like them. But being in those two different worlds, being two different people, I heard two different conversations about Oscar. In my neighborhood, he was one of us, but at my school, maybe he deserved it. He was an ex-con, why are people upset? He was resisting, he got what he deserved. And in my anger and frustration, I decided to write a short story about a young girl whose best friend is killed in a similar way to Oscar. Because that was the only way I knew to get my frustration and my anger out. Teenagers who tell me, I get it now why you say Black Lives Matter. And I'm gonna speak up and speak out for my friends. I'm not gonna be a Haley. I have to believe that those same kids who read my books today will now have empathy that affects the way they interact with the world. I have to believe that in the future, a politician will say that reading my book as a teen changed the way they see the world. An entire generation right now is empowered simply because a story about a boy with a lightning-shaped scar. There's an entire generation that now speaks out because they saw Harry do it. So who's to say that you can't write the story that does that for a generation? What I think one of the best things that I've learned to do is to show rather than tell. So with that cousin, I started showing him things instead of telling him things. I show him stories instead of telling him. I showed him my book and let him read it instead of telling him this is what's happening. The character of Carlos is probably a little bit based on that cousin. I don't think he's realized that. But, is my cousin? No. But it's hard because sometimes people are so set in their ways. And I know, especially with black people, I've seen this a lot with black folks, is if I haven't gone through it, nobody else has probably gone through it, y'all making this up, you exaggerate. And I think we got to get to the place where once again, we listen more than we speak. So I told my cousin, I said, just because you haven't been racially profiled does not mean it doesn't happen. So with relatives like that, black folks like that, with people like that, unfortunately, sometimes you just got to be patient and realize there's only so much you can say or do.
So that was the last footage that I got from Melbourne's Writers' Festival. Thank you for putting up this vlog. It wasn't the best, as I said. I'll try my hardest so next vlog is a lot better and easier. Thanks for watching and I will see you next time. Bye!